Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
But if you tell a fish that they have to climb a tree and they can't do it, I love how I'm changing this. The fish feels like it's stupid, right? Like, I
Yes.
can't do it.
Yes.
In reality, most of the pressures that you feel in life are not real. It's all something we've created. It's all made up. Everybody hits walls.
Yes.
If
You always
there's
talk
somebody
about
who
walls.
doesn't hit a wall, I'd get worried.
I remember when one of us lost
Yeah.
his father and had to go home. I remember talking to you about, if the person was a GTA, I don't want to mention names now, and you're like, okay, I told you I would love to help. But you're like, no, you picked up the person's job. And
Sure.
I'm just like, I don't see this in a lot of places. So what still drives you? I think is it still that part of knowing this person is a whole person?
Yeah.
That's because in other places you may barely even get time to travel. I've seen people who couldn't travel for family things and all of that because of who they work with. But you not just let them travel, but also say your work, don't worry about that. We'll fix it for you. And you did the person's work.
Right. Yeah, and there are differences. You're right. And that's one of the important things that I tell people as they're looking for a mentor is to find the right mentor, because that approach, that the family that we are in the lab, is not what everybody wants. There's some people who that's not where they will do the most growth. That's just not the best fit for them. So, and it's kind of, this is a weird analogy, but it's kind of like if you go on 100 dates. You're not going to find 100 people that's your person, right? That you're going to marry, that you're going to spend forever with. It doesn't mean the other 99 weren't amazing people. They're just not your person. So I think that mentors can be the same way. So not everybody wants that or needs that. I mean, do I think most of us want somebody who fundamentally cares about us? I hope so.
Yes. I mean, that's definitely important.
Yeah, that's I have been surrounded, and I've seen so many faculty that do love their students. And I think their students know it. That's an interesting question. But I know of so many faculty who their students love them for years and years and years. I mean, you think about Carla Shellnut, to throw out a name, right? Yes. And the way that people love her.
Oh,
well,
we have
hello.
a guest.
We have a guest. Say Carla and
Is it? What's the name?
This is Kaya. Kaya is my troublemaker. And I can put Kaya outside. Hi, Kaya.
Jumped on the table.
And now you're just gonna, you're going outside. Okay.
You want to stay there?
You're gonna leave him there?
No. I mean,
how does it do for the? Is it okay?
Okay, that's fine.
That's Kaya Bell. Yeah, Kaya came into our life because Kaya. See, and this is kind of like people. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. And Kaya's is that occasionally Kaya will bite people.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
So I treat Kaya with respect. It's actually I've never used this line, never told this line to my students, I don't think, but I tell my kids this all the time, that you love somebody for who they are, not who you want them to be. I think that speaks to the strengths side. Knowing who somebody's strengths really are so that you help them grow in ways that are right for them and not trying to push them to fit into something that doesn't fit well, because then they're not going to succeed and do this amazing, accomplishment. And then they're going to feel like they failed, and it wasn't because they failed. It's just they're in the wrong place.
Right.
It's that I still, just the other day, I was trying to remember if it's Dr. Seuss or Einstein that said the thing about the fish in the tree, talking about intelligence. See, I need to look that up. Yeah. But if you, and this is definitely not right, but if you tell a fish that they have to climb a tree and they can't do it, I love how I'm changing this. The fish feels like it's stupid, right? Like, I can't do it. Well, it's not because the fish is stupid because it can't climb a tree.
What you're asking the fish to do.
The fish lives in water. Watch that fish, So,
Thank you. Do you think the way you were mentored during your PhD also kind of affected the way you mentor us? Because one thing I always ask myself is, because I think I was the GSS president. I attended some meetings that I hear some faculty members talk about how oh, they were working this number of hours during their PhD and they expect their students to work that kind of hours. And so it always like, we did this, why can't you do that?
Right.
So then I'm also thinking of, is Dr. Colby this way because of the mentors she had? And I know that's a very difficult thing to talk about, but what do you think?
And I think there are different layers that you have there. I think that we are obviously influenced by our mentors.
Yes.
I had an amazing, wonderful mentor, Dr. Lauren Haldeman, who now is,
you mentioned the name. She was at SNB, right?
Yeah, definitely, always. And then she's also the editor-in-chief for JNB.
JNB, okay.
Yes.
SNB.
So,
yeah, shout out.
SNB, shout out. So, yeah, she was my mentor, and I was her first PhD student.
Oh, how was
that? We had kind of flip-flopped, because the other interesting thing, also talking about the that relationship that you have, because we were, I think, 3 months apart. Maybe 4 months. I'm trying to remember what birthday is. I think it's more like 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were almost the same age. But for me, I had worked for a couple of years, as both as a nutritionist, and then I had worked for years as an adjunct professor, and I'd had 2 kids.
Yes.
So she'd gone straight through school. So she had this amazing academic training and just everything that I could need for learning and growing there. And then for her, it was her first academic appointment, whereas I'd worked as faculty. And then she had her first children, while I was there.
Okay, then
so,
you were
so it was this, but at the same time, for me, like the idea of calling her Lauren instead of Dr. Haldeman still feels just a little bit weird. Sorry. It's just, because it does. I had that respect of, this is my mentor, even though we're the same age. So I don't know. I think we had such a unique experience that I'm not sure if that is why I mentor the way I do. That's an excellent question.
I've always thought about that. Like, I would love to know if Colby was mentored.
Yeah, I think supportive. Dr. Haldeman is really good at drawing lines and boundaries and pointing people where they need to be. So, I do see a lot of similarities there. I definitely always I still feel like I could call her anytime and she'd be there, to give me advice and care. And, I care about her kids and she cares about mine, and they're all grown up now. So weird. With the other half of that question, though, this is now the brain test, was I wanted to speak about, because what was the other half of that? It was.
So I was just talking about how I've heard faculty members mention how they were trained and how their students should do that and all that.
Working 70 hours a week.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So that's why it's such a difference to me. I don't think that's about mentoring. I think that's generational. And I think that's something I've wanted to actually develop a training program for faculty, because we came from a different generation that liked that. Like we chose that. It's not just because somebody pushed us like that. We grew up with this academia, had this, I don't know, this, aura around it, this thing that was so aspirational and so precious, and we wanted that intensity. We wanted that. We grew up surrounded by books in the library. Strength and staying up. We stayed up all night. We worked crazy hours, and all the way through getting tenure. You just that was a choice, even though people thought that they were being pushed to do it. Whereas I think that this generation, in a very beautiful, healthy way, has a better feeling of, am I living to work or working to live?
Yeah.
And I don't think that this generation that came from push, and push till you can't make it, and then push a little bit more, that they think when they see people drawing boundaries and healthy boundaries about time and making sure they're balanced and their work-life balance, that that's a generational thing, not about mentoring.
It looks strange to them, like, why are they doing that, right? Yeah.
But the other thing that I like to point out to both sides of that generational gap, whatever, is that a long time ago, if you were going to read an article and then write to that person that wrote the article, you were going to walk across campus. And you were going to go to the library, and then you were going to look things up, and then you're going to go find it, and then you were potentially going to make photocopies, and with a machine, and then you were going to read that, and then you were going to write often typing. Let's go back, even a generation older than I am. I'm not this old. But you're going to type this letter. You're going to put it in a, mail. You're going to mail it. It's going to be in the mail for however long.
And that's a question.
And that's a question to get to somebody else. And then they're going to read it and they're going to think about it. And then they're going to write eventually. And it's going to get you. We're talking months between communication.
Yes.
The speed of science was different.
Yes.
Your generation, well, I don't have to go through. You pull it, button, read, button, gone. So, with the advancements and how much you can get done, there was not an equal advancement on how much you were expected to do.
That's a good way to look at it.
Right.
Because the hours you're spending there is to walk to the library, make photocopies, mail, that I can do in 5 minutes.
Yes.
On my bed.
Yes. Yes. And so you should have more, that extra time that's been made.
Should not be to work necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
It was supposed to free up things. Let it free up things.
Yes. So, speaking about this difference in technology, I know you've talked about how now people expect you to respond instantly. And how do we protect ourselves? Because there are loads of emails, you have to work, you have to attend to meetings, you can attend meetings back to back. Before, if you were to work from Mossman to the library, you at least need 30 minutes in between meetings, but you can really jump from one to the next now. How do we help ourselves?
It's a good point. And it's going to be about perspective. It's going to be about keeping it in your mind, because in reality, most of the pressures that you feel in life are not real. It's all something we've created. It's all made up. I will say the same thing about tenure. In reality, that pressure that so many people feel, and taking it down to comps, your dissertation, all of those things. It's the pressure side of it is all legitimately something we're creating. You know what you need to do in life, and as long as, if you don't know, that needs to be clarified, right? So, know what I need to do. What are my expectations? What do I need to work up to? Like I said, that good to-do list, make a really good to-do list. Keep that there. So that way, if you're getting what you need done, or if you legitimately need to readjust things so you're getting more done. And then remind yourself to let it go, that it's not real. And I think that I say that, and I don't think I'm at the best place for that in terms of, you asked about emails yet, because the problem is we've gotten to a point where what's being asked of us is more than we can possibly do.
Yes, humanly speaking.
So the idea of, for tenure, people can, as you move on, and if you go into academia with tenure, people can get very stressed by that.
Yes.
But that's just something you're allowing to be in your mind. It's an artificial carrot. It's pretend. So if you know what your job is, you do your job, you do a good job, you love it. I mean, that's the thing. You if things are going well, you're going to love what you're doing. So you feel that energy, you love what you're doing, you do a good job, and you ignore the rest. The tenure, the accolades, all of that will come along. You don't have to think about it. So, but you'd mentioned email. The one thing that I would say I have not gotten to yet, that I think is coming, is that I think AI is going to help us. This next step, I believe, as you have these.
They're already doing it. If
yes.
You have a personal Google account, they have a summary for you.
And then the agent, the kind of having that personal administrative assistant who's there helping you, who's going to be able to point out emails that you really need to deal with, that you'll be able to flag things. So I think that as we go into this next phase, I think things are going to be a little bit more balanced. Learning how to use those tools is going to help you be able to, when you're at work, be at work. Like I said, love what you do.
Yeah. And I like that.
Find that. Yeah. And then when you are not at work, let it go. Be at home, be out in nature, be with friends, laughing, exercising, all those good things that fill you up. Be with your family, be with your kids, just be there. So be wherever you are, because you can handle the moment. Yeah.
I like that, because you're saying know your job and actually do your job. But it's not just all about the job. There are other things you can do that are bringing the light to your life, and then do them. That's really great. I would also like to ask, was there any time in your PhD that you felt like, did you ever question if you wanted to do it? I know you have a very good background. You had parents who were academics. in spite of that, do you think it was just like, okay, I love it all through, or the retention, like, do I just have to stop this? Do I want to stop this or continue?
Everybody hits walls.
Yes.
If there's somebody who doesn't hit a wall, I get worried.
Yeah.
Actually, this goes back to when I was way back when I was apparently 2 or 3. I told my mother, if you're good too long, you bust. I stand by that.
Again, if you're
good too long, you bust. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we need things that, so there were, like, for instance, the class that I loved most, both in undergrad and grad, is
16.
My biochemistries. I love chemistry.
Oh, like when you were taught,
the ones when I was in my PhD program. That's what I love the most. And I had some amazing and hard professors. And before every exam, where you'd stay up all night, for me, I'd stay up for days, and you're cramming, and but in my mind, when I would go there, if I get any of that tension, I was going to run away and be a photographer at the beach.
Right.
100%. That's what I was going to do. So it's okay.
Definitely good.
If I fail, that's fine. I've got this. I'm happy. I've got this other path. So those were those moments, and I did fine, obviously afterwards. And then the only other time that I really hit my wall was probably, everybody's is a little different, but when my grandparents passed when I was in school, and I was incredibly,
was your PhD?
Yes. And I was incredibly close with my grandparents. They're most amazing people in the entire world. And I was there for both of them, and it was a pretty intense time. And so when I came back to school, there was an extra class that I was going to have to take. And I told Dr. Haldeman, I was like, I can't. If you need me to do this, I'm going to have to step away. And she was a great mentor, and she mentored me through it. And we, I it's that taking that next step and just staying with it. So for me, that was more of that emotional side than that. I can't do it because I can't write this stinking, paper. Because I think I've always enjoyed the academic part of it. It's always like a puzzle to me. It's always a game. I've never gotten bored with that.
And it's fun for you.
It is. Yeah.
I see how you come up with idea yesterday, and I'll call you like, okay, and then you wrote a whole, can I think about this? Okay, that's why I said, okay, I think I need to read this more. It was going really fast, but I love the fact that you can quickly come up with something and want to work on it instantly. So it kind of makes sense to me. Like, it looks like a game to you, and that's definitely fun.
It is.
Yeah, that's good.
But that's also why what I've always said is that you need to look for a group of about 4 or 5 people who work together really well.
You mentioned that.
My multi-state team, as you know, my USDA multi-state team is they're who've made my career. My family, they're family to me. They're my best friends and family, and I love them and I miss them when we're not working together. And so if you can have a team like that, and you're all going to have different strengths. So don't be shocked, but I'm kind of like the idea person. I like big thoughts and creative, and let's go, let's do this. And I can write a full draft of something and just get it down, right? Yeah. But I don't enjoy the T and the I and the detail side of things.
That can do that.
And then I have people who love doing that.
Yes.
I've met people who love writing reports. That's so cool to me. And I feel really bad still that the time in a meeting where this person said, I love writing reports. They're in administration now, you can imagine.
I can see that.
But have those people who love editing, who, love the submission process. You have those people who love the stats. I love figuring out what to run, and I love seeing the outcomes. I'm not the stats. I can get mad at stats occasionally. But anyway,
I know you have a lot of things like that, but stats are
this is the part I love. So have your team, and work with them, and then you'll be productive, and it's good.
That's good. Yeah. Let's talk about leadership. Fun fact: when I was going to run for the Graduate Student Senate President role, Dr. Colby encouraged me. I was like, okay, I wasn't actually going to run for the presidency. I wanted to go for the chair and just, chair the meeting. But she said, if you want to do this, just go all in. And then I think you said you did something like that during your. So tell me about that.
Yeah. No, exactly. I was the Graduate Student Association president as well, and it was phenomenal experience, and it brought so much to my education.
Yeah.
Recognize I would not have encouraged everybody to do that.
Yes, that's the part of knowing people's strength.
Yes,
also that I know.
Yes, I knew you were going to be phenomenal at it. You were going to just shine, and it was going to be a great experience for you and everybody else working with you. So, and it was going to bring good things to your world. Because you don't want to put somebody in a position that's not their strength and they fumble the ball, and it doesn't feel good, and it's that can really derail things. But people are going to be great. So all you needed was just that extra encouragement. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I must say that encouraging me to go for that helped me even learn more about my career interests, like seeing the administrative side of academia, the leadership part. It's something I love to do. I love to work with people, to talk, to do what I'm doing. And that really just made me see that this is also possible in a research setting. And that was really great. It definitely was a turning point for me in terms of where I want to work and what I want to do. I know you also were the president of SNEB at some point. And SNEB is the Society for Nutrition, Education and Behavior, one of the top, nutrition education, society in the world, I must say, what was that experience like for you?
It was wonderful to work with people that I already knew.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things that I probably wouldn't recommend to somebody to jump straight into, being president of a large company, a large, group. Society. It's because society or organization. It's that you want to start off by volunteering. You want to get to know people because you want to build that network and that understanding of how the society, in this case, works. And then it almost feels, what's the best word for it? It's like it doesn't matter because you are just a role in the team that you would be in before and after.
Yeah.
And so you know how it works and you're there to do your role and hopefully do it well. Yeah. So my heart is still with SNAB as it was before and it will be afterwards. And it's the people, it's the idea behind that organization that again cares and cares about the world. So it's very easy to devote yourself to an organization like that where you're working in teams of people who care and want to make a difference. So being leader didn't feel
different to you.
It's just that year was my turn to do this.
Yes.
It's not like I'm in charge. In some ways I actually honestly feel like I have more power as a member of SNAB. I felt like I had a role. When you're president, your role is to facilitate everybody else's idea, working and coming together. Whereas when you are in the membership, that's your job, is to have the ideas and say, this is what we want to do.
Yes.
And then the people that you've elected to support you to get it done will get the work done to do it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It does make sense. I think you did a very good job. I mean, that's really when a lot of us also got involved in SNEB.
The only other thing I'd like to say about SNEB is that although I obviously love that organization, I've always said, and I have not gotten that off track with me being so involved, is that you should really get to know lots of different organizations. You need to be a part of as many as you can. As a student, really going to different conferences. It's that same kind of idea of the dating, 100 people, there's one person that's your person. That you're going to find a home, and so try lots of different things. I think the other thing, sorry to say, is that we don't know exactly where we're going to click and what we're going to do until we get there, until we try the different things. So that's being open to those experiences and having the people around you to help guide you. Thank
you. When you're hoping to recruit a student, what do you always look for? Like, what are you, because we're going to be recruiting soon. Right. How do you go about that? How do you get to choose that person? I know sometimes it's hard for you. Like, okay, all of you can come. You have to make decisions eventually. Okay,
I'm not good at that. When they're amazing people, the most painful part is funding. Is right now financial, and I encourage people in the world to hold on, to don't lose hope, don't lose track of that energy toward knowledge. That I want to be a part of learning more. We cannot give that up. Just because this is a time where we're just not as able to bring in as many people because of funding. That's been the hardest part. In terms of what I'm looking for in students, it's easy to me, at least. It's not about what can you do, what do you already know, what are your skills, what are your experiences. Let me see your CV. It's about that passion for learning. It's about this approach to learning, approach to life. That's where it's
So I've seen, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I see a lot of posting, people looking for PhD students and asking for at least 2 first authored paper and this and that, skillful in this and that. Okay, this person is supposed to come and learn, but this person looks like a postdoc already with all of these skills and all.
It gets so competitive.
Yeah. Is it are things just evolving to a point where PhD, because Dr. Adoy, one of my committee members, is also very amazing, said that when he was a student, you rarely see people with a PhD with like this much publication we are seeing with people coming into a PhD program now. So what's changing?
I think maybe, hopefully, that gets back to that speed of life with the technology is done. That it's much more realistic to actually do this lit review and to get these papers written, and so we're able to access more knowledge. Quicker, easier. I don't know if easier is a good word for it. I think we should be careful with that, because to me, it's more about that capacity and interest and passion than it is about what you've already accomplished. So I would hate to lose those people with that potential because we are only selecting people who've already, ticked off certain, things on a resume. I'm always, I can't think of a more professional word than freaked out.
Very professional.
Totally professional here.
As we move on, I will ask that you continue to engage. So please do not just watch the videos, like, comment, and subscribe. Who encouraged people to start in academia and those who encourage them to continue.